Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right, I got another Criterion Collection Blu-ray review for you. This title just came out a few days ago as of the time that this video is going up. It is Spine number 1179. It's a Blu-ray release from Criterion of the 1968 directorial debut for Peter Bogdanovich, and it is a film starring Boris Karloff in his final film role, and it is Targets. 1968 film, Peter Bogdanovich, first time directing a major motion picture, and this one stars Boris Karloff in his last film role. Of course, Boris Karloff, famous horror movie actor, classic horror movie actor. He became famous when he played Frankenstein in 1931. He played the Mummy in 1933, played in numerous horror films throughout the decades, and all up to 1968. He actually died shortly after this film came out, I think the following year. So this was his final film role, and he actually plays himself, so to speak. Not himself, but he plays a character named Byron Orlock, but basically playing a character very much like himself, a horror movie actor who is getting ready to retire and hang it up. He's done with acting, he's had a long career, he's ready to hang it up and be done. And that is one of the big parts of this film, is the story of Byron Orlock and his journey to retire, his reflection upon his career and what he has done in his life. And the fact that, you know, his time in the sun is over. He's ready to move on, but he's getting ready to make one final public appearance. That ties into the second big piece of this story, of this crazy movie, which blends two genres. You have the horror movie side of it, which is Boris Karloff's side. Then you have another actor in this movie, Tim O'Kelly. He plays a character named Bobby. He's a young man, part of a typical American family. You know, your apple pie, Leave It to Beaver type model family. Unassuming young man, buttoned up, the kind of young man that you wouldn't think would do anything wrong. He ends up going on a mysterious killing spree out of the blue, or seemingly out of the blue. He goes on a shooting spree, and that's the other side of the story. It's the contemporary crime thriller. So you have the classic horror story, Boris Karloff, and Tim O'Kelly playing this young man going on this crime spree, this contemporary crime thriller aspect. And these stories converge and come together in a very interesting way. But I will leave that up to you to watch for yourself. But let me read the back of this Criterion case. It says, Targets. Old Hollywood collides with new Hollywood in screen horror with real life horror. So I have something in my eye. In the startling debut feature from Peter Bogdanovich, bankrolled by Roger Corman, this chillingly prescient vision of American-made carnage casts Boris Karloff as a version of himself. And that's one of the cool aspects of this movie, is Boris Karloff basically pretty much being himself, an aging horror movie icon whose fate intersects with that of a seemingly ordinary young man, Tim O'Kelly, on a psychotic shooting spree around Los Angeles. Charged with provocative ideas about the relationship between mass media and mass violence, Targets is a model of maximally effective filmmaking on a minimal budget and a potent first statement from one of the defining voices of the American New Wave. So this is a stunning debut from Peter Bogdanovich in a really fascinating film. Peter Bogdanovich actually plays a role in this movie. He plays, and I'm so bad with names, I'm gonna go ahead and open up this case here, and I'm gonna read the actual cast, because the cast of this film, Targets, is awesome. You have Boris Karloff, who is playing Byron Orlock, the aging horror movie star. He's basically playing a version of himself. You have Tim O'Kelly, who's playing Bobby Thompson, who is the young man who goes on this shooting spree. Another really nice character that I enjoyed in this movie that added depth to the proceedings is a young lady named Nessie Sui, who played Jenny. She played Byron Orlock's assistant in this movie. Then you have Peter Bogdanovich, who played Sammy Michaels. I believe he was like a manager to Boris Karloff's character, or he was involved in his career in getting him roles. And Sammy Michaels is just a fascinating character. It's interesting seeing this young Peter Bogdanovich directing this movie, but also playing a role in this film. But you just have a wonderful, wonderful cast here that is listed on this page right here. So it's absolutely fantastic. I'm going to go completely out of order, but because you have a wonderful essay in here, American Sniper from Adam Naiman, which is really good. It talks about the film, the production. Peter Bogdanovich talks about it talks a little bit about Whitman, who is the character upon which the serial killing aspect is based. So it's based on a true story, loosely based on a true story. And there are some wonderful pictures in here. It's just a really fascinating film that I really enjoyed. It has a unique premise to it. You know, this blending of genres with the horror, movie story aspect, and seeing clips from Boris Karloff's films in this movie, I just thought was really cool. And how you blend that aspect, this aging movie star, with this young man on a shooting spree, and how the two converge and come together is just brilliant in this film. I absolutely love it. You have this disc here, Targets, the Blu-ray disc, and I'll talk in just a second about the picture quality, but check out the inside of this case. Look at that. That's Reseda, the drive-in theater. I'm not going to spoil the significance of that location, but it's just wonderful. I mean, I absolutely love the way that this story unfolded. I love the way that the story was paced. I think the handling of the two converging storylines was handled brilliantly. And it's a movie that I look forward to seeing again and really, picking up on those things that I missed upon the first viewing. But just a stunning feature film debut by Peter Bogdanovich. Now, this is on Blu-ray. It's a new 4K digital master supervised by director Peter Bogdanovich, who I believe passed away a few years ago. And you have an uncompressed monaural soundtrack. This film looks great on this Blu-ray. That's one of the things I was really blown away by, was just how nice this film looks. It came out in 1968, and it looks so beautiful on this Blu-ray. I mean, you've got a nice layer of grain there. It's just beautifully restored and cleaned up. It's just a beautiful looking film from the late 1960s, restored with a nice 4K digital restoration and put on a nice Blu-ray disc. And it has an absolutely beautiful picture to it. There's detail, the depth, the contrast, all of those elements of picture quality that you look for on a nice looking Blu-ray. This has it in spades. It is just a beautiful, beautiful looking Blu-ray image. And I think fans of this film are going to be very pleased with how this film looks. It's incredibly clean. I mean, I saw no dirt, scratches, no nothing. I mean, it is a beautifully cleaned up image. So I thought that looked really nice. In fact, let me just read about the transfer in here, about the master. It's right here toward the back, about the master. So let's read this. Targets is presented in its original aspect ratio of 1.85 to 1. This new 4K digital master was created from the 35mm original camera negative. And you can tell, when you watch this, you can tell they definitely work with some great elements in creating this new 4K digital master. And when you're working with the 35mm original camera negative, you're working with 35mm film, you just get great results restoring, from that kind of a source, because you have so much detail in that film. And I can imagine that if this was ever put on 4K, that you would get even more of that detail brought forward. But on this Blu-ray, it looks really nice. It was scanned in 4K, 16-bit on a laser graphics director's film scanner. And there's also an original monaural soundtrack. It was remastered from the 35mm magnetic track. And it sounds great. It looks great, sounds really good. It is a really nice Blu-ray disc that you're getting in this edition from the Criterion Collection of Targets. just absolutely fantastic. I mean, I found myself just really blown away at how nice this image looks on Blu-ray. It is just a beautiful looking late 1960s film on Blu-ray. And it's just another example, so many examples of the great work that people who are involved in film restoration are doing. They're just doing some amazing work, bringing these films to life in ways that, 20 years ago, you couldn't have even imagined. I mean, we live in such an amazing day when we can get our hands on physical media like this, from these boutique labels, from the studios, and the love and the care and the attention to detail that goes into these restorations to make them look as nice as they do. This is a great example of that. So if you're a fan of Peter Bogdanovich, if you're a fan of Targets, this particular film in general, or if you're a fan of Boris Karloff and you want to see Boris Karloff in his final film role, cannot recommend this enough. Looks great. Another nice aspect of this release is the fact that you're also getting some nice special features, including the audio commentary from 2003 featuring Peter Bogdanovich. So that's great. There's a new interview on here with filmmaker Richard Linklater that is on this disc. And I will tell you, that is definitely worth watching. That is an excellent, excellent talk from Richard Linklater that you definitely want to see. From 2003, there's an introduction to the film by Bogdanovich, so that's nice. And then you have some audio excerpts from a 1983 interview with production designer Polly Platt at the AFI, American Film Institute. And like I mentioned before, there's this wonderful essay in here. Of course, you look on the inside, look at that, check that out. But this is a staple booklet, which I love. But you have this essay, American Sniper by Adam Naiman. And then you also have You Have to Know the History of What Came Before, an interview with Peter Bogdanovich, which is on page 14 of this wonderful booklet. So yeah, a lot of great material in here, and I just cannot speak highly enough of this release. It's not an overly stacked edition from a special feature standpoint, but there are some really quality elements from a features standpoint that you're gonna wanna take advantage of. It's gonna help you better understand how this film was made, what went into the concept of this movie, how Peter Bogdanovich got his start directing with this film. And it's all worth soaking up and soaking in. But this is a wonderful addition from Criterion. Criterion just continues to put out quality content for us physical media lovers, and that trend continues with Target spine number 1179 in the Criterion Collection on Blu-ray. Nice new 4K digital master, fantastic film, great debut from Peter Bogdanovich. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Targets. This is a wonderful addition. This is definitely an item that you're gonna wanna consider picking up on an upcoming sale. I believe there's a sale going on the Criterion site, 30% off up until I believe May 29th. But this is definitely one that you'll wanna consider picking up, if not then, on the July Barnes & Noble sale at 50% off. So definitely keep Targets in your line of sight. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on Targets. Let me know in the comments section below, what do you think of this film? What do you think of other films from Peter Bogdanovich? And let me know, if you are a Boris Karloff fan, what are some of your favorite films that Boris Karloff starred in? Let me know all that goodness in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.